First, solve intelligence. Then use it to solve everything else. This wasn't a line from a science fiction movie. It was the founding mission of a company called DeepMind, a goal so absurdly ambitious it sounded like a delusion. The man behind it, a former chess prodigy and video game designer named Demis Hassabis, wasn't trying to build a better app or a faster search engine. He was launching a formal quest to deconstruct the very nature of human thought and rebuild it in silicon. Most people would have laughed him out of the room, but today, his company is responsible for some of the biggest scientific breakthroughs of our time. The story of artificial intelligence isn't really about code and algorithms. It's a human story. It's about the handful of visionaries who saw the future, bet their entire careers on it, and dragged the rest of us into it. They operate on a different level, following a playbook of principles that allowed them to build the impossible. But to understand how their software is changing the world, we first have to look at the man who built the hardware. The man who effectively built the engine for the entire AI revolution, almost by accident. His name is Jensen Huang, and his company, NVIDIA, was on the brink of death. In the late 90s, they were just one of many companies making graphics cards for video games. It was a brutal, cutthroat market. At one point, Huang had to make a bet so risky it would have bankrupted the company if it failed. He poured all their remaining cash into a single chip, the Riva 128. It worked, and NVIDIA survived. But survival wasn't the goal. Jensen saw something no one else did. He noticed that the architecture of their graphics processing units, or GPUs, was designed for parallel processing. To render a complex 3D world in a video game, a GPU has to perform thousands of simple calculations simultaneously. He realized the same architecture was perfect for the kind of math needed for a strange, emerging field called deep learning. At the time, Wall Street and the tech industry saw NVIDIA as just a gaming company. They told him to stick to what he knew. But Jensen had what you might call irrational conviction. It wasn't blind faith. It was a belief earned through a deep understanding of where technology was headed. So he made another huge bet. He invested billions of dollars not just in making better hardware, but in building a software platform called CUDA. CUDA was the key. It was a software layer that unlocked the power of his GPUs, making them programmable for scientists and researchers. He didn't just sell them a product, he gave them a platform. He built the picks and shovels for an AI gold rush that hadn't even started yet. By enabling others, he ensured that when the AI boom finally hit, everyone would be building it on NVIDIA's foundation. It was a masterclass in playing the long game. But having all this raw computational power is one thing. How do you harness it to create something so profound, so useful, that it captures the imagination of the entire planet in a matter of days? The mission of OpenAI is, if anything, even more audacious than DeepMind's. Their goal is to ensure that artificial general intelligence, that is, an AI smarter than humans, benefits all of humanity. It's a goal that sits on the edge of philosophy and science fiction. But the company's CEO, Sam Altman, is a master of pairing that sky-high ambition with brutally pragmatic execution. Instead of locking his researchers in a lab for 20 years, hoping they'd emerge with a finished AGI, he did the opposite. He pushed his team to deploy. They released early, less powerful versions of their models like GPT-2 and GPT-3. These were impressive, but niche. Then, in late 2022, they released ChatGPT. It wasn't a perfect, all-knowing oracle. It was just a research preview, a simple chat interface layered on top of their existing technology. But it was accessible. For the first time, anyone with an internet connection could have a conversation with a powerful AI. The result was explosive. The world went wild. In doing this, Altman achieved several things at once. First, he created the most powerful feedback loop in history, gathering data from millions of users to improve the system. Second, he built a global brand overnight, making OpenAI synonymous with AI itself. And third, he created a revenue stream through their API, allowing them to fund the astronomical costs of training even bigger models. This is the genius of the strategy. Use a series of small, practical steps to fund a journey toward an almost impossibly ambitious goal. It's a blueprint for turning a dream into a reality. And it all circles back to the man who first declared that crazy mission to solve intelligence. To truly understand the source of these breakthroughs, we need to understand how his unique multidisciplinary background became his secret weapon. Demis Hassabis is not your typical tech CEO. Before DeepMind, he was a neuroscientist. And before that, a legendary video game designer. These weren't separate careers. For him, they were all part of the same investigation into the nature of intelligence. He believed that the only working example of general intelligence we have is the human brain. So, to build an artificial one, we should probably study the original. This interdisciplinary thinking was baked into DeepMind from day one. He hired not just computer scientists, but neuroscientists, physicists, and mathematicians, and had them work side by side. They were obsessed with questions like, how does the brain learn? One area of focus was the hippocampus, a part of the brain crucial for memory and navigation. This research directly inspired their work on AI systems that could learn and remember. The first major test was the ancient game of Go. For decades, experts believed a computer could never beat the world's best Go player. The game was too intuitive, too complex. There are more possible moves in Go than there are atoms in the universe. You couldn't brute force it. DeepMind's AI, AlphaGo, wasn't just programmed with Go strategies. It learned by playing millions of games against itself, using a process inspired by human reinforcement learning. In 2016, the world watched as AlphaGo defeated Lee Sedol, the reigning world champion. During the match, AlphaGo made a move 37, that was so strange, so alien, that commentators at first thought it was a mistake, but it turned out to be a stroke of creative genius that secured the win. The machine had displayed something akin to intuition. But solving games was just a warm-up. The real goal was to solve everything else. Their next target was a 50-year-old grand challenge in biology: protein folding. Using their AI, AlphaFold, they were able to predict the 3D structure of proteins with stunning accuracy, a breakthrough that is now accelerating drug discovery and our understanding of diseases. Hassabis' story teaches us that the biggest breakthroughs don't happen in silos. They happen at the intersection of different fields, by combining knowledge in new and unexpected ways. But building world-changing technology is only half the battle. If it stays locked away in a lab, its impact is limited. The next lesson from these pioneers is about what happens when you give the power away.
Andrew Ng has a famous saying, AI is the new electricity. 100 years ago, electricity transformed every single industry, from manufacturing to communication to farming. Ng believes AI is about to do the same thing, and he's dedicated his life to making sure everyone has access to it. As a professor at Stanford, his online machine learning course reached hundreds of thousands of students. This experience showed him the massive global hunger for this knowledge, and it led him to co-found Coursera, a platform that has now educated millions of people around the world. He wasn't hoarding his expertise. He was democratizing it. He understood that for AI to truly be a revolution, it couldn't just be for the tech elite in Silicon Valley. It needed to be in the hands of farmers in Kenya, factory managers in Germany, and doctors in Brazil. His company, Landing AI, is focused on exactly that, bringing practical AI solutions to traditional sectors. He champions a data-centric approach, arguing that for many real-world problems, you don't need a fancier algorithm. You need better, cleaner data. This philosophy lowers the barrier to entry. It makes AI less about having an army of PhDs and more about being a domain expert who understands their own industry's problems. Andrew Ng's lesson is powerful. True progress isn't about what you can build yourself. It's about what you can empower others to build. A rising tide lifts all boats. But as this tide of AI rises, it brings new and dangerous currents. With this immense power comes an equally immense responsibility, a reality that the creators of this technology are now being forced to confront, sometimes in very public ways. In 2023, Geoffrey Hinton, one of the so-called godfathers of AI, did something extraordinary. He quit his job at Google. He didn't leave for a competitor or to start a new company. He left so he could speak freely about the dangers of the very technology he had spent his life creating. It was a stunning public admission that the genie was out of the bottle and he wasn't sure if we could control it. This highlights a critical final lesson: grappling with the consequences. The leaders at the forefront of AI are no longer just engineers. They are stewards of a technology that could reshape society in profound ways. We see this in OpenAI's own evolution. The company started as a nonprofit, but they quickly realized that the computational cost of training cutting-edge AI was so astronomical that a nonprofit model was unsustainable. So they made a strategic pivot. They restructured into a unique, capped profit company. This allowed them to take billions in investment from partners like Microsoft to fund their research, while still having a structure that, in theory, prioritizes their mission over pure profit.
It was a pragmatic adaptation to reality. Leaders like Sam Altman are now spending a significant amount of their time meeting with world leaders, testifying before governments, and publicly calling for regulation. They understand that public trust is their most valuable asset, and that trust can only be earned by acknowledging the risks and being part of the conversation to mitigate them. Building the future isn't just about technical brilliance. It's about having the wisdom and humility to ask not just can we build this, but also should we?
So, what is the secret playbook of the AI entrepreneurs?
It's a study in contrasts. It's having a vision so audacious it sounds like science fiction, but executing it with the discipline of a daily grind. It's having conviction so strong it seems irrational, but the humility to pivot when the data tells you you're wrong. It's building technology of unimaginable complexity, but making it simple enough for everyone to use. More than anything, the story of these pioneers shows us that technology is never just about the technology. It's about the human qualities behind it. The relentless curiosity, the long-term thinking, the interdisciplinary creativity, and the profound sense of responsibility. They aren't just building machines that can think. They are creating a new grammar for human potential. And their playbook is a guide for anyone in any field hoping to build a better future.
If you enjoyed this look into the minds behind AI, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the technologies and thinkers shaping our world. Thanks for watching.